Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to this explainer. Today we're literally pulling back the curtain on a world most people don't even know exists. We're stepping straight into the ultra-secretive reality of a Tier 1 operator in the US military, where nobody outside your team will know what happens tonight. And, that is exactly the point. This isn't about Hollywood action movies. This is about an unseen ecosystem of highly specialized units that rely entirely on each other to pull off the most dangerous jobs on Earth. So let's look at what this life actually entails, starting with the very first unbreakable rule of operating in the shadows.
The reality of a Delta Force operator has to be completely mundane on the surface. Now, the Army still does not officially acknowledge the unit exists, but, well, that has never stopped them from actually using it. You don't tell people where you work, not your barber, and for sure not the guy at your kid's soccer game who keeps asking what you do. Instead, you have an answer ready. It's vague enough to be believed and just boring enough that nobody follows up. And that's by design. Because while you're standing there making small talk, the reality of your actual job is waiting for you in the middle of the night.
You leave that boring soccer game, and suddenly you're shifting to a totally different reality. 0200 hours, a high-value target in a fortified two-floor compound. Your team is exactly 4 men. You've trained together long enough that you communicate entirely in half sentences and absolute silence. You breach at 0200 with gear that's literally a generation ahead of the conventional military. Weapons without public designations, night vision that turns complete darkness into daylight. You've trained with it so much it stops being gear. It basically becomes a part of your body. You move through the building like water through a crack, finding every space and filling it completely. The target is on the 3rd floor. In exactly 4 minutes and 11 seconds, the objective is complete. Nobody outside this room will know what happened tonight. That's not a complaint, by the way. That is the entire point.
Section 1. The tip of the spear. Delta Force and DevGru.
So, these direct action shooters are basically the absolute final step in a massive, sprawling web of intelligence and logistics. They're the ones who finish the puzzle. But modern elite units evolved directly from historical catalysts and, frankly, lessons paid for in blood. Delta Force was officially established as the first Special Forces operational detachment back in 1977 by Colonel Charles Beckwith, completely modeled after the British SAS. But then came 1980 and Operation Eagle Claw, a failed Iran hostage rescue that ended tragically in the desert. The military looked closely at what went wrong, and right from that failure, Commander Richard Marcinko established DevGru, which you probably know as SEAL Team 6, because it became glaringly obvious that a dedicated maritime counterterrorism unit was urgently needed.
Just to put this terrifying efficiency into perspective, think about a 4-minute land raid by a Delta team, compared to DevGru fast roping 40 feet onto a moving maritime vessel, securing hostages in just 11 minutes. What's absolutely incredible here is the shared mindset between them. Back at the compound, or on the ship, there's zero celebration, none. Someone simply makes coffee, someone else starts the debrief. They're only thinking about what could have been done 2 seconds faster. Because tomorrow, there will be another target package. There always is.
Section 2. The Massive Raid Forces. The 75th Ranger Regiment.
With roughly 3,500 soldiers spread across 3 battalions, this is the most deployed unit in all of special operations. Your duffel bag is literally always half-packed. And even get there, you have to survive the absolute physical hell that is Ranger School. We are talking 61 grueling days trudging through the Georgia mountains and Florida swamps. You're running on maybe 4 hours of sleep and roughly 1,500 calories a day. By week 4, you're flat out hallucinating. The only reason you finish is because you make the conscious choice that you are not going to be the one who quits. And then you're out in the real world. The jump light turns green at 0115 over a mountain range that doesn't even appear on public maps. You go out the door, the wind hits you like a brick wall, your chute deploys, and you're looking down into absolute pitch-black darkness just trying to find the infrared strobes your Pathfinders placed 40 minutes ago.
You hit the ground, collapse your chute, and cover 800 meters in under 6 minutes in full kit. By the time conventional infantry even finishes organizing, you've already breached, cleared, and secured the facility. The Ranger Creed holds a line repeated so often it kind of stops sounding like words. I will never leave a fallen comrade. You've seen what that costs. You've paid it, and you'd pay it again in a heartbeat. Rangers lead the way. It's not just a catchy slogan, it's a literal job description. It means taking the door first and paying the ultimate cost so that everyone else behind you can walk through it standing up.
Section 3. Builders of the Battlefield. U.S. Army Special Forces and Marine Raiders.
Now, while direct action forces move incredibly fast to clear rooms in just a matter of minutes, special forces, which were created in 1952, drawing from OSS experience in World War II, operate on a totally different timeline. Your 12-man Special Forces ODA, or a 14-man Marine Raider detachment, might be embedded in a country for 4 solid months. You literally know the village elder's youngest son by name. You know exactly which roads are safe on market day and which ones aren't safe any day of the week. That kind of localized knowledge took 4 months to build. Their core mission is to work with indigenous populations to fight wars that conventional armies just can't fight. The ultimate goal? Building relationships that make battles entirely unnecessary.
I mean, the adaptability required for this is just absolutely staggering. Your team has a medic who's performing actual surgery in buildings with dirt floors. You've got a communications sergeant who can establish a fully encrypted satellite link from the back of a moving pickup truck in under 4 minutes. Tonight, your partner force conducts an independent ambush, and it's the 3rd mission they've run without you in the lead. They execute the break contact drill exactly as you drilled it. You make one single note for tomorrow's debrief. It's not a correction, it's a conversation. Because special forces don't just win battles, they build the conditions that make those battles unnecessary. Freedom constructed from the inside of a country by the people who actually live there tends to last a whole lot longer than freedom delivered by people just passing through.
Section 4. Masters of the Sky, the 161st SOAR and 24th Special Tactics Squadron.
Here's the thing. None of these ground elements, not Delta, not the Rangers, not Special Forces, can do their jobs without the Masters of the Sky. Think about the number 11. That is the heart-pounding reality of a Night Stalker in the 161st Special Operations Aviation Regiment. The valley you're flying into is 9 miles long, threaded with unseen power lines, but you know they're there because you flew the route last night just to check. You're flying a modified MH-60M helicopter tonight, equipped with 4-tube night vision that turns the darkness into bright, green-lit detail. Your approach margin? It is exactly 11 feet of rotor clearance on a sheer canyon wall. You put the assault team on the X at exactly 027, 17 seconds ahead of schedule. Then you climb to a holding altitude and wait. You're always 40 seconds away, so when the radio finally cracks, you're already turning the bird before the transmission even ends.
And integrating all that air support from the ground is the 24th Special Tactics Squadron. Just imagine jumping out of a plane with 94 pounds of gear strapped to you. A combat controller is packed with 4 different radios, a laser designator, and encrypted GPS. They jump in first, basically acting as FAA-certified air traffic controllers and ground combatants at the exact same time. If a Ranger element gets pinned down, this controller is immediately on the radio, calmly guiding an FA-18 down from 22,000 feet, bringing an 8-second strike that literally saves everyone's lives.
Section 5. Unseen Intelligence and Recon, ISA and Navy SEALs.
Now, before a single helicopter ever takes off and before the shooters ever breach a door, someone has to actually find the target. That falls to the unseen intelligence gatherers and reconnaissance elements. And to do this kind of work, you have to be forged in absolute extreme conditions. 74%. That is the brutal attrition rate of a Navy SEAL Bud/Slash class. It proves just how incredibly hard it is to earn that trident. Because earning it means you're willing to spend 26 minutes in freezing, 54-degree water in the pitch black, your hands completely numb, quietly swimming to a dock with a rebreather that makes 0 bubbles just to observe a coastal facility. You're doing the quiet, freezing reconnaissance work that actually makes a strike possible the next morning. So here's the absolutely crucial point. This entire ecosystem is basically a massive pipeline, where one unit is entirely dependent on another, setting them up for success. First, the Intelligence Support Activity, or ISA, spends 9 weeks meticulously mapping a target's pattern of life. Second, SEALs conduct freezing, silent reconnaissance of the facility. Third, Night Stalkers navigate terrifying terrain in the pitch black to deliver the assault team. And fourth, Delta Force breaches the target. This system doesn't work if even one single link in that chain is broken.
And the people at the very start of that chain, the ISA, they live a remarkably lonely existence. For them, war doesn't really look like war. It looks like patience. It looks like renting a tiny room over a pharmacy, shopping at the exact same market, taking the exact same route, and being completely, totally unremarkable for 9 straight weeks. You are doing all of this mundane routine just to catch a target's single tiny mistake. And when they make it, you send an encoded message, pack up your apartment, and disappear completely before the shooters ever even arrive.
Section 6. The Quiet Professional's Toll. The ecosystem's ultimate cost.
So this really brings us to the core of this explainer and to the overarching theme that binds every single one of these units together: complete selflessness. The headlines, the books, the blockbuster movies, they always go to the strike, right? They highlight the explosions and the raid. But the true essence of special operations is the willingness to do the grueling, invisible, lonely groundwork just so that someone else can succeed. The reconnaissance elements that made the headline possible, they won't ever be mentioned. And they know that before they even step into the freezing water or before they sit in that dusty apartment for 9 weeks. But they do it anyway.
Because of their patience and their immense sacrifice, the right people get to go home to their families. But it really leaves us with this final, kind of haunting thought. When an entire ecosystem is perfectly designed to be invisible, who takes care of the ones left in the shadows? It's a remarkably heavy toll borne by these quiet professionals. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope it gave you a much clearer picture of the incredible dedication hidden within this unseen world.